Good morning. My name is Bentroy Njue. We are covering all the happenings of today, which is going to be a quite a busy day, being the second leg or the second day, even may say so, of the maandamano, Azimio, or if you like, demonstrations by Azimio One Kenya Coalition. Well, what we have been able to gather is that some of the businesses have already been closed. A lot of Kenyans deciding not exactly to come to the Nairobi CBD, where we are expecting that the Azimio, as they have always said, that they will be trooping to the city. The police have beefed up security, and I can tell you some of the roads are clear, quite clear, as opposed to other normal days, meaning that some Kenyans have shied away from the Nairobi CBD. But the security apparatus, so far no incidents so far, and we'll be keeping you afloat on all the latest happening in the country in regards to the Azimio demo. And sign language interpreter is Lensa Odingo, and I'll also be engaging my panelists here so that we may have a feel of what is happening today. And if you may allow me to introduce them before we get further into this discussion. Beginning from my immediate left, we have Ambassador Bishop Robert Musili, who is the chairman of the Kenya Veterans for Peace. Karibu sana.
Good morning, Chair.
And he has also served in the military. He is the chairman of the Kenya Veterans for Peace. So he will be telling us a little about peace and what to expect. We also, just next to him, we have Reverend Joyce Munyiri of the Glory Outreach Assembly Church. Because the church has also come out strongly to say that we should be having some dialogue so that we may avert losses of property and also lives as well. And just next to him, we have Dr. Nelson Sechere, who is the executive director of the Kenya Veterans for Peace. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana. And perhaps to begin with the lady, the church has been quite vocal in terms of how these demos are currently being undertaken. We saw what happens, and if we begin from where we began on Monday, yes. We didn't see, we quite saw a lot of ugly scenes, something that also the church came out strongly to say we need some dialogue so that we may have a peaceful nation. If it's anything that we need to address, it needs to be addressed. I'd like to pick your mind on that.
Thank you so much. Yes, as I have been introduced, my name is Joyce Munyiri. I am so grateful to be here this morning, especially to talk about peace, because as a church, mainly Glory Outreach Assembly, we are normally on the forefront talking about peace. And we started doing so even before, long before the elections. We have done that for 32 years. And as we look at the last Monday, we realize that dialogue is the only way out. It's so unfortunate that all this is coming, long after the elections. Previously, in the previous years, we have had, this violence and all that, maybe shortly after the elections. But now, 6 months later, we find that the nation is going back to where we thought we had already come out. So the way to go is to sit down, talk about things, and sort them out. Even God tells the people, come, we reason together. So dialogue is something that is very, very key to our nation and to bring peace to our nation.
And I'll be coming to you a little bit later, because in as much as we say that dialogue is key, we have witnessed the two sides seem to have some hardline stance. No one wants to budge. We want this, we want that. So to bring them together has been quite an issue, but we'll be getting to that. Let's first of all, let me come to Ambassador Bishop. Tell us something a little about the Kenya Veterans for Peace. You've served in the military as well, so you know what peace is firsthand.
Thank you very much, Njue. To start with, Kenya Veterans for Peace is an organization of retired military officers, specifically KDF, who have served with a clean record, distinguishedly, in the KDF. Then after retirement, we came together 2007, 2008 because of the situation that was there. And then we were brought together by His Excellency Kofi Annan, may his soul rest in peace, And when he came to negotiate and bring Kenya together, he called all the veterans and he had one message for us. What are you doing when your nation is burning? We were to wait for him. He told us, I'm commissioning you, go and look your colleagues and go and do what you do in other nations. True to the call, we went and we came together with him 3 days. That was 2008, 2007, and then he commissioned us, and within 1 month we had tangible results, and that was what we have been doing. So our vision is that we preach peace and we stand complicate the government on all matters of peace, security and development in retirement, because we are not tired. We use our capacities, our training and experiences, global, regional, then we bring it to local. So it's about global, regional, and then global, we apply the skills. We don't compete with those stakeholders, we complement them. So what we do is that we preach peace because we know what is peace, we know what is war.
Yeah, and have you already started? Because we have not seen quite a lot of institutions coming out to preach peace as much, but to tell people to dialogue. Have you already started on this? Because you've said very well in 2007, you were quite instrumental in ensuring that Kenya had peace when we had post-election chaos. Have you started out this season yet?
I can talk a bit from 2007, 2008, up to date. We have been working. We have been doing that.
Case in point, this is the second leg or the second day that the maandamanos are being carried out by Azimio, and they have talked about twice every week, which very well we know that a lot of the maandamanos in Kenya do not end in peace.
Yeah.
Yes.
What we did is that when we had this pulling there and there between the political class, we have tried to talk first of all to our veterans members, and also we have a message that we have for the citizens. We don't need to come out because it's a large, quiet group. We have also a message to the political class. We have reached them. We have also a message to the government. We are working with the right peace, security and development stakeholders. And also we have reached faith-based organizations, that what we have been doing, and also individuals or probably opinion leaders. So what we have been doing. In terms of media, we believe very much in terms of media. We had our first press conference last Saturday, but one, and we also addressed the same. And we addressed the matters of the situation at hand, the current situation of the nation. We also addressed on matters of the peace and security operations in the 6 counties in the North Rift. So our message is very clear that we are very much on the ground doing what we can do, because we believe the more we sweat in peace, the less we bleed in war, and vice versa.
All right, and you're a non-government organization, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let me talk to your executive director, Dr. Nelson Sechere. I have seen in numerous television shows and even in radio shows, the civil society groups come out to actually call for the two sides to have a truce. But one thing has been clear is that the civil society also want the government to respect the constitution, and to be precise, Article 37, which allows for Kenyans to picket, to demonstrate peacefully. I'd like to get your sentiments on that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. As the chairman has put across, Kenya Veterans for Peace is a unique civil society organization, in a sense that its membership is drawn from the military, the Kenya Defense Forces, and number 2, it was a government decision or initiative for the veterans. Now, these veterans, we know peace because we know war. You can never know peace if you don't know war. Where there is war, there is no peace, and where there is no peace, there is no development. The non-governmental institutions which are registered in different counties for different purposes have done their efforts. We appreciate that. At this point in time as a nation, we've got to come together and reason. Just like Reverend is saying, we've got to reason together. We are not saying that somebody is right or wrong. Any institution or any country that has gone to war began with small atrocities. When you step on me, be ready to apologize. When you apologize, it's very easy for us to now start talking. There's the law. The election ended in 2022 in August. The Kenyans made their decision. The mandated institutions made a decision. The IBC made their decision. There was the Supreme Court, which addressed anybody who was not happy with the situation. But here's a case where there are developments. I mean, change happens. The opposition party says they have a whistleblower who came up with new facts about the election being rigged, and of course the high cost of living, which is a very genuine concern. Looking at the demands of what they are giving, they are very genuine concerns. The way of addressing it is what would not be productive. And like I put on the press conference, just like alluded by the chairman, 2 weeks ago we made a press conference, and our message is when these protests happen, it may serve a purpose for one party of the two sides. The danger is now outside Kenya borders, the perception of what Kenya is right now becomes tainted. When that happens, the gross effect is the investors are going to run away. They won't be believing that there is peace. And again, like I told you, KVP, we stand for peace, security, and development. We do not have a reason why we cannot be together, because investors look at peace. And Kenya has been a center for so many international and multinational companies. You've seen in the recent past multinational companies, financial institutions coming to form a base in Kenya. You've seen in Westlands, we have the International Financial Center coming for these particular countries, Kenya. So when you see pictures of people having to fight and demonstration, burning tires on the road, it's a bad picture for the investors. The effect is now, if they don't invest with what we call the direct foreign investments or FDIs, it means the cost of living will be up and higher even more, because now there are no dollars coming to the country. So it's a catch-22 situation that we are in as a country. We've got to make deliberate decisions as a nation.
Being an organization that also is championing for peace, you know, and also democracy is part of peace, do you support the Azimio Maandamanos, or the right for Kenyans to picket and also demonstrate? Do you support that?
We support the Constitution. That's the law. We don't have an opinion. There is no alternative. We don't have an option of not supporting the law, because we are all bound to obey the law.
That could be quite a blanket, because in the same law, in the Article 37 says that we have the right to picket and also to demonstrate, and also I think it's Article 24, subsection D, that talks about the limitations to these rights.
Yes.
So in as much as we may say we support the Constitution is a double-edged sword. Of course, you cannot do this and you can do this. In as much as that, do you support, as the Kenyans, Kenya Veterans for Peace?
We support peaceful demonstrations. Not destroying of property, not stealing, not killing people. And it's very clear. You see, the law bounds everybody. Same as we're having a limitation of who can do what at what point, we also understand that we cannot stop somebody from picketing. Blanket decision to say don't demonstrate is a wrong decision. So we believe it is right for everybody to demonstrate within the precincts of the law. That's like we said, there's limitations, what you cannot do. When you take a stone to throw at my car, you are not demonstrating, you are destroying my property. You are infringing on my rights to own a property on my own. So we support peaceful, legal demonstrations as covered by the law. But we are not saying that creating war or having people to fight is our support. We don't support that. Number two, we recommend people to talk. When people talk, it's very easy to have a solution than if you have this picketing. Picketing just one way to solve a problem. It's not the only way. We can still have a discussion. We can, Honorable Raila can just walk in the State House and say, okay, let's talk about this matters. I feel ABC is not right.
All right. Let's hear from Reverend. And of course, first of all, we have to cross over to Kisumu, which has been the hotspot of all the maandamanos that have been in Kenya. And I'm quite sure that Achola Simon has been able to gather something. But before we get to Achola Simon, let's hear from Reverend. The church, we have seen politicians each and every Sunday come out to say that they do not quite condemn the mandamanos, but they urge the two parties, that is the president and the leader of Azimio, to have a sit down and talk about this. And in as much as we are seeing these leaders say this in church, we have not quite seen the church come out to try and be the arbiter between the two parties, which would avert a lot of these issues that we have. I would like to get some sentiments from you.
Oh, thank you very much. The church, I would say, has really come out because, okay, they may not like get there and sit with the two, but what the church is doing is quite a lot. One, we've seen the church organizing even prayers. You know, prayer is a way to, bringing people or solving problems, because that's where you involve God in the whole thing. We have seen even leaders, for example, us, our...
kindly, just a minute. Let's first of all cross over to Kisumu. Hold the thought. Demos in various parts of the country. And in regards to that, Dr. Nelson, we have seen Kisumu. There are demos, yes, but quite peaceful so far. We have seen in Mombasa, everyone is going on his or her everyday duties. And in Nairobi, it's more or less like lukewarm. Some businesses have closed. Police have cordoned off some of the places that Azimio members have been meeting in the other demonstrations. How do you see the demonstrations today vis-a-vis what we saw last Monday?
Thank you very much. That is the definition of demonstrations as thought by in the law.
What we've seen in Kisumu.
What we've seen. You see the governor, my friend Governor Nyang' Nyong'o, working with the citizens. That is what you need to see. Peaceful, no property being destroyed unless there's a provocation. But I will also be interested to see what your team is covering in other counties, Machakos, Turkana, Samburu, because that's Kenya. We cannot shortlist Mombasa, Kisumu and Nairobi as the only counties, although those are the hot spots for the current situation. But I'm very impressed with generally what is happening, because at least we are able to see Mombasa business is normal, is going on as normal. Nairobi, I've seen generally this peace as compared to last week, such a time. There was a lot of running battles here and there. Kisumu has given us a role model for what should be happening in demonstrations. My only worry, which I would think of, is at what cost is this happening? Is this peace voluntary, or people fear the police, or what would be the reason why people are this way? Again, if you suppress somebody for so long, the outcome may be too much.
Yes, and I will still go back with that question to Ambassador Bishop. We have seen that they're quite peaceful, and it's a good thing that Dr. there has quite pointed out what exactly could have led to this. Remember, the police themselves were very categorical. The IG yesterday said that these demonstrations are illegal. And in as much as we would like to just follow what the police have said, there is a constitution, and he's not above the law, and the constitution gives Kenyans the right to picket and to demonstrate, just like we have seen in Kisumu.
Okay, thank you, Njue. What I can say is that it's quite encouraging. The pictures that we have seen from Kisumu to Mombasa and here, very much encouraging. And we thank all the stakeholders, beginning with the media, the families, institutions, and all the parties who are participating, and in general Kenyans, for the efforts that they have put to see that this is happening. We believe that nothing just happens. So what we are saying is that yesterday, the Inspector General of Police, I listened to him he said, yes, the Constitution's Article 37 backs every Kenyan within the boundaries to picket and write for demonstrations. And this should be peaceful. To what he says that, going by what happened last Monday, if it's going to be people demonstrating or coming from this estate to the CBD, any corner of this nation, carrying what we call offensive weapons. And he gave an example of stones, pangas and rungus. That demonstration is illegal.
Okay,
that's what he said.
Just a minute. Well, some of the things that we are saying is quite commendable, if you ask me, Ambassador. And before we crossed over to Kyoria at Serena, is that you were touching on how exactly, and also being an initiative that seeks peace, how things are transpiring quite well. Although we haven't seen any Azimio leader as well, and sometimes these are the leaders who quite evoke the quote-unquote the violence button. They seem to be the ones who just touch the button and everything just seems to go south. But everything seems calm, collected, just like it should be.
Okay, I had said that it's quite encouraging, going by the Constitution on picketing and demonstrations as guaranteed and provided in the Constitutions. But, and also I said on analyzing of the message of the IG was very clear that they are only going to allow demonstrations which are peaceful and which abides by the Constitution and which protects each and every party. And then, let me add something on that. Kisumu is peaceful. Here Nairobi is peaceful. Mombasa is the same. And also we project going by all the hotspots. Kisumu, Nairobi, and Mombasa being one of the major hotspots, plus other few areas. Let's pick from the KVP point where we stand for the business, fraternity, and community. Things are not peaceful. Why? They are loaned to be serviced. There are also people who are working casual labors. There is no peace. The people who are supposed also to go to work, casual workers also, and those we call the Juakali sector also, they are not going to earn anything today, going by what you see, because the customers are not there. So we are saying, and our message has not changed as KVP, that Azimio team led by Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga should look for other constitutional avenues which guarantees democracy as a young democracy. And our message, even from that Saturday and all along as we have walked these things when these things came up, is that democracy has the first three pillars. That is constitutionalism, and we are urging him to go back to that. Second is rule of law. The third one is strong institutions. So if you want to be the strong opposition, to build the strong opposition institutions with the other team that they have come together, that is Azimio, One Kenya Alliance, they have to look into that and everything will go well. Otherwise, when demonstrations are going on, family business should go home, institutional business should go on, that touching on schools, touching also on government affairs, touching on business fraternity, also media, and all humanity for the system should move on. We cannot hit politics. Kenyans, we have done our part, and any other democratically elected citizens, we have done our part, they do our part, their part. Going by our message that we gave, the issues that Azimio One Kenya lands, they have raised about 14, we have summarized and analyzed as Kenya Veterans for Peace into 3 categories. They have raised issues on political, and we have told them political problems and issues are political solutions. The other issue they have raised is about economic hardship. Economic problems have economic solutions. Same with the issues, they have their own solutions. The other issue they have raised, very clear, is about spiritualized religion or spiritual issues. That the government is shifting to religion, lifting Christianity more than any other. So we are saying Kenya religious issues have religious solutions.
And it's a good thing that you've mentioned that, because we are going to be looking at the issues that they have raised, because some Kenyans are arguing that in as much as we can have a sit down, there are some things that just are cast in law. A case in point is the IEBC issue, where they're talking about the commissioners. They want the commissioners back. They want the constitution of how the IEBC commissioners are going to be taken. They also need a hand in that. But we'll be talking about that. It's a good thing that you've been able to gather them and categorize them into three. It's a good thing that Bishop also mentioned that as Kenya Veterans for Peace, they have also have a sit down where they have looked at the issues that Azimio have raised, and they have been able to categorize them. But I would like us to touch on some of the issues that they have touched, and you being part of the clergy, I would like to get your view on that, because Azimio One Kenya are talking about some of the things they're talking about have been called unrealistic demands. Case in point is the electoral reforms that they're talking about. The wheels of justice and the wheels of actually ensuring that we have IEBC chairperson and also commissioners has already started. The process has already started. This is something that is enshrined in law. More or less, it's like it's cast in stone. But they want their demands also captured in the recruitment of the IEBC. Some of these demands that they have talked about, they could be argued out as more or less being a little bit ambitious.
Okay, yeah, that's very true. You know, it's one thing to have the law, and it's another thing to have, you know, the way you take it and the way you demonstrate that law. For example, when it comes to the election of those IEBC, the former chair, his term is already over. So there has to be another one coming in. Then there is that issue of these others have to come in. So the right process need to be followed, so that even if they are the same ones who come and fight again, they have to be vetted, they have to go through the right process. So there is no way that you would talk about, you know, obeying the law and not doing what the law says and applying it in the right way. It's just like, you know, the word of God. There are people who take it and apply it in the wrong way. And yet, you know, that is the law from God, his word. But you find that there are some people who really misinterpret it and use it in a different way. So it is important to do it the right way. So as they talk of these people coming in, you know, so-and-so should come back and all that, let them do it and follow the right process.
Okay, Daktari,
yes.
Looking at what the Kenyans have an opportunity to change the course of history through maandamanos, and I'm talking about this because a number of countries have also actualized some of democracy through maandamanos. South Africa, case in point, during the apartheid, and also looking at Kenya during the clamor for multi-partyism in Kenya. I remember there were maandamanos, and those maandamanos are the same one that birthed that, the repealing of Section 2A, which now allows Kenyans to have multiple parties in the country. But for today, and remembering that the IG of police and the president told Kenyans not to go and picket, do not go and demonstrate. That one would not really call that democracy, because there are some people who have not gone to picket and to demonstrate because, one, the demos have been declared illegal, and also they are quite scared because of the police themselves, who are supposed to guard their rights when they are picketing and when they are demonstrating. More or less, some people would say that they were intimidated by the police. I would like to pick your mind on that.
Well, thank you. What I would say is the Kenyans, every Kenyan, even yourself and myself, we have a common need, our food. Looking at the videos of what's happening in State House and the other places, I'm pitying the businessmen who have offices in that place, who rely on people who walk in I know there's a restaurant around there. They rely on walk-in clients. Today they won't sell anything today. They will not be eating today. They have a family, they have school fees, and the cost of living is going high. The demonstrators and the leaders of opposition, they have a point in what they are saying. The IG of police mentioned cautiously that no demonstrations have been allowed, which means by law they applied for a permission, but the law doesn't require to apply for a permission. Just notify the police that will be having this. You just notify as a courtesy. You don't have to apply for permission. When that happens, it now goes the other way, what you're saying, intimidation. But from where I sit, I believe that every Kenyan so far, right now, knows that Monday is not a normal day. It is not looking very good, especially the business community. As KVP, we really want to see development. And development cannot come without peace, neither without security. What is happening by the government saying this is not allowed, we would be interested to know whether what is happening in Kisumu is also illegal so far. Because we have seen it peaceful. People are walking with the governor hand in hand trying to achieve a point with their placards. Is it going to make Anyang' Nyong'o and the team in Kisumu to be arrested today because it's illegal? Because the IG was very categorical across the board that if you are going to have a demonstration, don't come as a goon to destroy property. And I agree with that, because all of us, we have investments in different parts of the country. If somebody would want to break down something that you've made over the years, it is not good for anybody. So I purposely would really want to request all the parties to look at the long-term effect of this. Consider yourself, put yourself in a shoe of that trader who relies on the Gikomba food market every day. Today there is no business because there's fear. Like you said, there's intimidation. Myself, I can't even drive to town because I don't know if my car will be okay or not. I may come out without windscreen. So this fear is because of the history of what we've had. And I think Kenyans should start learning to be civilized. You've said very well about South Africa. It was generally very peaceful. The properties were not destroyed as it were. Israel, the same thing is happening. Even in France, there are demonstrations going on. So I think we have to have civic education about what is picketing, because picketing seems to be covering some goons who are generally thieves, in lack of better words. They say we are demonstrating, but their target is basically to obtain property without consent. So I would really request the media and other players in the stakeholders in this particular forum to look at the possibility of having education about picketing. What is this picketing? What do you mean I'm picketing? And what are demonstrations and picketing? Because clearly you would see that if you ask somebody who is holding a stone, wanting to throw the stone, you need to ask this person, what are you demonstrating about? If you try to pick one or two, I saw something happening with Al Jazeera. They picked one of the demonstrators, asked, so why are you on the streets? Then the guy said, we just don't like this government. Nothing specific. That's not good.
And that's where you're going to pick it from, because in as much as you are picketing and you're demonstrating, it's only prudent and it's only fair that we give the solutions. If I do not like the way you're carrying out your issues, I should also be coming up with a solution that you should do A, B, C, D. And that is where I come to you, Bwana Chairman, is that the Azimio Brigade, they've talked about a number of issues which they do not like. And in as much as they are talking about what they do not like, they are not coming up with solutions on what they expect done or how we can reconcile the two. I'd like you to touch on that.
Thank you very much, Njue. Going by what we have gone on the hair for the last 2 weeks, and when this issue started, we have been very much economical on the message that we are giving to political class. But let me go and elaborate that the issues that Azimio team, One Kenya Alliance, led by Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, they have raised, why we are advising them to look for alternative constitutional ways is because we believe that team has mature politicians. Somebody who has gone to be the vice president, somebody who has been a constitutional cabinet secretary. Some of them are in the national government, some of them are in the different levels, state offices, or link them now, or the national and county government. We believe they are mature and they are leaders. So we are advising them to use the right way, approach this government. History, we learn to project the future and even help our present situation. We are caught up between transition issues, which are raising the political issues that they are raising, the economic issues they are raising, and even religious issues that they are raising. During the first transition from the colonial transition, the colonial, some who were left in the government, they came together with the first African government. They settled those issues together, and the father to Right Honorable, I'm so to say so, he was there. They fixed together. Also, when it came to Kenyatta administration, transitioning now to Moi administration, Kenyans came together. After that, we came to Kibaki. Kenyans came together. Although there were some hiccups of 2007, 2008, but later they came together and they settled. Also, the issues which were there during transition of Kibaki to Uhuru, they came together, and that's why we see there was a think tank and this economic transformation team and all those things, they came together. And that's what the birth of all what we are seeing today, Kenya has developed. So what we are saying is that during transition, we are calling for concrete multi-sectoral approach, because we have no any other Kenya to live, we have no any other place to go. If they have, they know, but we have a responsibility to build Kenya together and present to the next generation the way we found it. That is our duty, and that's our mandate, and we have a legacy to leave. So what we are saying is that both for civilized democracies, young democracies as Kenya, we need to come together, reason together, we have a common destiny. We say this. I'm very careful when we are talking to politicians, but this is very important to know that. In politics, in political class, we are not politicians, but we know what is politics, we know what is not politics. In political class, we say we have no permanent enemies. Why? People don't go beyond that, because you have permanent interest in politics.
You have permanent interest.
We have no permanent enemies,
but we have permanent interest.
Because we have permanent interest in politics. So it's their responsibility to shake off the differences, check on all the factors and pillars of democracies. That's why I'm taking you. And then the process and the issues that they are raising, was the constitution exhausted in the political issues they did? To us, yes. Was there a rule of law? Yes. Were there strong institutions that determined the ruling of the issues that they raised on 2022 elections? Yes. Which one? There was the Supreme Court of Kenya, and now there is a sitting president recognized by the government. And the president has gone on the air telling them very clear, let them sit down with the police, who are constitutionally mandated institution to protect any Kenyan hearing their grievances and their distress and their dissatisfaction to the government or that is in power. So he has told them very clear, go and sit down with the police, do what? you can do to make sure that Kenya is moving forward. Second, he has asked him to come and help him to fix the problems of the things that they have. Our position is, let those Azimio politicians understand this, and I repeat for the third time.
Okay. And still on the same, a lot of people have come out to urge the two parties to cease fire and have a dialogue. But first things first, the president himself said that I know what the leader of Azimio wants is that he wants the Nusu Mkate or the Nusu government. And on the other hand, former Premier Raila Odinga said that no, we do not want have government. We don't want to be part of government. What we are looking for or looking at is the interest of Kenyans. But if these two leaders just continue to maintain their hardline stance, we will not get out of this. And I'm quite sure the church could be there, or the clergy could be there, although there have been some accusations that the clergy is more or less leaning on the government. But they are or could be the fire that now lights up the whole place, and we are calm. They have a sit down, each one now to take a more or less hardline stance so that we may do away with mandamanos. I remember last week we were told, though unverified, that the country lost around 2 billion shillings a single day. I'd like to get your sentiments on that, and especially where the clergy comes in, as opposed to just you talking on the pulpit, and as opposed to the clergy having press conference, trying to have a middle ground to reconcile the two.
Yeah, looking at actually what he has said, looking at the interest of these people, you realize that the people who are suffering are the Kenyans, all the Kenyans, because whether maybe in the church or the clergy or whoever, the issues that they are raising, actually there is some fact. Like now the economy is so bad. And when I go to the supermarket, when another one goes, whether a bishop or whoever, is feeling that kind of, pinch on the hike of the economy. But then the other thing that we need to look at, or they need to bring into the right, how do we solve these problems? Now, for example, when they are on the street, okay, we have seen that peaceful demonstration, which is good. But on the other hand, what is being resolved by that? If every day, every Monday, every Thursday, people come out and don't do anything, or rather the shops are closed, the businesses are closed. It is the whole nation that is suffering. Whether they are them as the leaders, our leaders, we are all suffering, because we need to come to a point where we bring our people, to a solution. Because if we do it every Monday, every Thursday, what is really coming in? What help is really, what are we gaining in that? That's why we are saying dialogue would be the best way, and there are channels of doing that. There are better ways of doing it. So why isn't it happening? You see, the church, when it comes in, of course, we talk about it in the church, we pray about it, and there are even those channels. It's good that you people, the media people, are calling us as the church to represent and to give our voice, that unless something is done, unless these two come up with a solution, just like we say when two bulls fight, it is the grass that suffers. So these that have their own interests, when they get their interest, for them, maybe their businesses are going on. Maybe even their businesses are not within Kenya. They don't have a business in Gikoba. Their businesses could be elsewhere, where these people who are demonstrating are not even getting into. Their businesses are not destroyed. But the common man is the one who is suffering. That's why we are calling upon these people. And there are many ways they can do it. As a friend has said here, they are unheard people. They know what need to be done. Actually, they don't even need somebody to tell them, this is what is going to happen. They know. They have learned people there, even those that call themselves learned friends. They are there. In fact, there are quite a good number of them there. They should teach them how to do it and do it the right way. Otherwise, demonstration, whether it is peaceful or not peaceful, it is affecting the Kenyans.
Doc, looking at what happened last week on Monday, and this is on the backdrop of the violence that we witnessed. The media was castigated, and actually we even got a letter from the Communications Commission of Kenya, Authority of Kenya, and they were not quite comfortable on how the media carried itself that day. But a number of Kenyans, including media pundits, argued that we as the media, we need to give the right pictures, and that is exactly what we did. Somebody would say that perhaps showing what we showed could have found some of the issues that we saw, but at the end of the day, now we will be delving into another issue that we wouldn't want to delve into, the issue of media freedom. In your view as a KVP, how did the media cover the events of Monday and today in regards to the demonstrations? Because Kenyans also have a feel that the media are doing their job, but there are people who feel that indeed media were not objective on that day.
Thank you. The media, from my opinion, this is personal opinion, and I think largely standing for peace, the media did their part. When you find yourself going for a demonstration and you are violent and you are captured on media, you are live on TV, you are a father, you are a mother, your kids will hold you accountable. If we let everything to be in darkness, there'll be more atrocities happening to people. And the media is an independent body. Your work is just to shine the light on what is happening in the community. Generally, you don't control demonstrators, neither do you control the people who are having to respond to the same. So in my opinion, there was fair coverage. Maybe the angling of the story, you cannot amend the story as it happens. It happens as it is. For example, in Kisumu, there's a peaceful demonstration. There's nothing you can change about it. It is the truth. And I think media should stand for the truth. Unless, the only thing that I would say maybe is this issue of DCI, where there were some photos that were shared that were not accurate photos, and I think they apologize for that. Other than that, I think there was a fair coverage of the activities for last week. Beyond that, the media has a freedom. It's a free society for the meantime. We do not go to the dark days where if you report something against the government, you are held to jail or something. I think we are past that. And Kenya is a very peaceful nation, generally speaking. So for me, I commend the media. The only thing you can maybe add in the near future is to educate the public more about what can be done, what cannot be done. For example, if the opposition is raising a very key issue about food security, what is practically possible? If you are the president today, what can you do? What is it that His Excellency the President has not done, or has the power to do but has not done it? So these are practical things that you need to look at every item that is being raised and identify exactly what can be done. Because like you said, having demonstrations without alternative solution is not the best. And I will echo the statement from the IG who was asking, these servers, are they in there should be some, maybe there could be a letter written from the opposition to IBC with requesting for ABCD. I'm just thinking as a Kenyan, you know, what would be a way out. So the media, for me, there was a commendable job.
And you being the chairman of the Kenya Veterans for Peace,
Yes.
yeah, we were battered on Monday because they were not quite categorical that we did a good job on that day, and there are some sections, including CAK, who are not comfortable on how the media carried itself on that day. I would like to pick your mind on that, because at the end of the day, if we are the media, we have a cardinal duty to shine light on what is happening so the Kenyan can be able to see, and that is exactly what we did on Monday.
Thank you. I can say that the whole issue of Monday demonstration, the IG had given a clear message through the press last Sunday, but one, that they received the letters of notification, which, according to constitutions, they were late. So we have a clear specification that there should be 72 hours notifications to give the police or constitutionally mandated institutions to prepare in terms of resources, in terms of personnel and command protection to the demonstrators as they are guaranteed and protected by the Constitution. So that did not happen. So the issue of Monday, according to the law, we are not lawyers, but we know what is law and what is not law. As KVP, that demonstrations, according to the law, they were unlawful. Second, the police, because it was unlawful, and the commander, the top leadership of police had declared so, that they are going to meet the full force of the law. That's why you see there was a lot of commotions. The issue of Communication Authority of Kenya, CAK. I like to say this. We are in the free world. This is where we are. And this is where the world is taking us. And you cannot stop destinies. And you cannot stop what's happening in life. It's good to know that we are in the free world. The Constitution allows us of freedom, but it's limited. When it comes to issue of media, now putting into all the factors of free world, the Constitution of freedom, being as Kenyans, and being also the actors in the media, there is a constitutional body, that is Communication Authority of Kenya, that should regulate. Why, as KVP, where we are standing as the chair, and as the executive director said, the things and the photos and the events of that demonstrations, they can have two effects. One, they can have positive effects, as he has exonerated, and it can have negative effects. So that someone is sitting in the house and they see the pictures being posted of the neighborhood, estate or street or town, and they say now, because everyone, my friend is there, my wife is there, my brother is there, let's go. The whole thing will be a confusion.
But
so what you are saying
I've zeroed in on that particular day alone, because that is exactly what CAK a little bit were uncomfortable with what we covered. Because I believe, if at all, everyone now, because we have smartphones, can become a reporter of some sort, and we can even get some videos and images from another country, and you see somebody plastering them on social media, which could even aggravate the situation, as opposed to somebody who switches on KBC Channel 1 and sees exactly what is happening. I believe the latter is far much better than the former.
Let me say this, Njue. Thank you for that. Communication Authority of Kenya is the regulatory body which is mandated to regulate media. What you should hear, what you see. But the issue they were raising, we also raise them. It's good to know that, because you have to analyze. The issue of repeating what was done in the morning, people throwing stones by 10, being repeated to the evening, that create a negative effect. So what I'm saying is that Communication Authority, as a body, they may be wrong, they may be right, but they have a mandate to regulate the media, and media has a constitutional mandate also, according to the license, to listen to their bosses. That's where we are. But it's a balance of everything.
And then, let me post this one to Daktari, because being the executive director, maybe you've heard of this, but a lot of politicians have talked about amending some of the laws, and especially when it comes to the demonstrations and picketing. they want those laws amended. And looking at what they want amended is that to will, if at all they make good their threat, is that the law now will be a little bit tighter and stricter when it comes to demonstrations. And remember, there are so many laws on the freedom of Kenya. Actually, the Bill of Rights in the Constitution is the biggest chapter in the Constitution, which will now be like squeezing in the laws, which will not go down well with a lot of Kenyans.
Well, thank you very much. This is what I would say. Today we have a new government. In 2027 there could be a new government. In 32 there will be a new government. Kenya would keep on moving. We as Kenyans, we are one. We have every reason to change the law when we want. As Kenyans, if we sit together and say, okay, we want to change, we can change the law, so long as it's for the good. But we cannot change our law targeting you today, because tomorrow you won't be the one there. I'll be here and you'll be there. There'll be an interchange. However, it is very important to also note that the law, the new constitution of 2010, really captured what the old constitution was not addressing, the atrocities and what, if you get a bad government, what it can do to the citizens. You remember what you said here earlier, the multi-party democracy, allowing of multi-parties. These are steps, these are baby steps. It is very sad when I see a politician standing on a podium and comparing America with Kenya. Like the bishop has said, my chair, we are a young democracy. We are at puberty stage, I would say. We are still at the youthful stage as a country. America is much ahead, is much old, is at the oldest level of democracy. We cannot compare these two. We are going to make mistakes. We are going to do wrong things. We are going to get wrong things. We are going to do right things. We are going to make baby steps until we are mature. So it is very early. We're just less than 60 years or something thereabout. It's very early to say. So we will keep on amending, making this, making that, until one day we are stable. As you can see, for example, when I see the laws of election, for example, the IBC, now the forming of the IBC, and how the stakeholders are giving their input, why this is not happening in this particular way. Remember, there was a time when the IBC, by then was ECK, the one Electoral Commission of Kenya, they would make an announcement at night at 10 p.m. Now the law says, no. Past this time, you cannot announce. That is the development. It's a step. We should not ignore that. So if there's a new amendment, somebody is thinking of making a new amendment that is positive for the Kenyans, let us welcome. Let's look at it. Let's go for a referendum. Let's discuss it as Kenya. It's our country. We are not living for another Kenyan. This is the only Kenya we have. So if anything causes us to make change to the law, so be it. So long as it's not infringing on the rights of other parties. And again, we respect the independent institutions. That is very important.
Indeed. Well said. Reverend, I remember after Monday, there were calls that for leaders of Azimio, because a lot of people talked about they are the one who fund whatever happened on Monday. They should be arrested and the full force of law should take effect. Well, I'm quite sure that the government was a little bit cagey on that, because there were some politicians who were arrested, they were charged, and they were later on released. I think they were in court, and they were released on a bond. And there were suggestions that the more you arrest these people, the more people will revolt on that. But at the end of the day, we have to maintain law and order. And these were lawfully arrested leaders, and they were lawfully taken to the court. But the effect of that could have been a little bit catastrophic, because a lot of people, every time you see a politician at DCI, you'll see a lot of people come out. Our leader, our son, our CS, our MP is being victimized. This is something that we have seen, and we have seen leaders being arrested for this as well.
Yeah, so my take on that is that when one breaks the law, whatever position you could be having, you need to be, that law needed to be imposed on that particular person. See, like when we hear like somebody saying, you know, if I am to be taken to the court, let, you know, whoever that person who was talking about yesterday, let him come and put me into jail. No, this person may not be the one to do it, but the law has it that there are other people who can do it. So the point is, you know, these people who are put there, I'm sure there were other leaders, even in opposition, that were not there. So they were not put into jail. But these ones presented themselves in the demonstration. So they were breaking the law. That's why they had to be put in. And we have seen that many times when somebody maybe is taken like to the DCI, like you said, and you see many people coming in, but they are not really trying to find out, is it lawful what this person has done? Has he done the right thing or has he done the wrong thing? And we even saw sometimes when, you know, some even wanted to get right inside the offices, which is not according to the law, because the DCI had that particular person they wanted to investigate. So it is good for Kenyans to allow the people who have been mandated to do a particular thing to do their work without interfering, without looking at maybe the position of a person. If it's that person has done the wrong thing, let the person be judged according to what they have done. If they have done the right thing, then things will work well. You know, at times, as we know, our country is you know, being affected so much by corruption. So you find that somebody may get in even having committed an offense, and instead of being judged correctly, you find a lot of corruption coming in. You find a lot of, you know, people coming in and saying, oh, this is so and so, this is honorable so and so. But the law should not be, you know, taken to, you know, judge some people harshly while others are judged in the right way. So it should be fair to all the Kenyans. Yeah.
All right, Ambassador Bishop, and because of the interest of time, what should be the end game? The president is not around, and he will not be around for the next couple of days, being in Europe, but he is going to come back, and the buck stops with the president. If you had an audience as the chair of the Kenya Veterans for Peace, you have the president on your table, what would you urge him to do?
As the president of Kenya, we would like to tell him that he is in charge and should be in charge. First, I want to correct you, and there is no vacuum in leadership. The Constitution says that when the president is out of a country on official duty or other factor.
I've not said there is a vacuum there, but at the end of the day, this demonstration, the two people who will have to sit down is not the deputy president and anybody else. It's the president and the leader of Azimio. And that is exactly what we saw in 2007. We saw a handshake in 2017, but the buck stops with the president. Let's just be very, very categorical on that.
We would tell the president, as veterans, we did what we could and we made Kenya peaceful in our active service. And we made others security. Now we are in retirement, we need development. We cannot develop in retirement, we cannot be in retirement, Nigeria retirement, when there is no peace. We need peace. He should use all the avenues, all the means constitutionally to make sure that we have peace in retirement, and so do all other Kenyans, and that's his duty. Also, we need to tell him, and we will tell him, and we tell him now, that we are in retirement. We cannot have retirement anywhere, not only in Kenya, when there is insecurity. Him, as the one who's constitutionally mandated to to make sure there's security in his government, he should use all constitutional ways to make that Kenya has enough security. Also on the issue of development that we stand, we need to develop in retirement, and so do any other Kenyan. Let him do what he can constitutionally, go an extra mile, and make sure that there's development and also the economic transformation that they say, and also security on our areas. That's our take. We did our part. It's now, I'm sure you've never seen my predecessors coming out very clear in the media. Apart from the 2 weeks that I was in media, the last time I was in media was last year, June. It is in record. When I called for press conference. When we had a new act, Kenyan Defense Forces Military Veterans Act was passed. We came to laud the government then. We don't like coming to media. So we are saying there's a message that we are passing to Kenyans, beginning with the president as he was asked, and the entire government, both in the opposition and the ruling coalition or government, and even the county and national government, and all the stakeholders, state and non-state actors, faith-based organizations. Kenyans, we may be a young democracy, but we have mature people, exposed people with an experience like us, both in retirement and active service. So we are saying the effort that has made us to come out of retirement and speak, we have a message and we need to be listened, because we know what is happening regionally. According to our brothers here, there is no retirement in Ethiopia of what's happening. There's no retirement in peace in what is happening in our neighbor country. We don't need to mention them. And all over the world. So a president who is sitting, the president should make sure that he does what is right constitutionally to unite the nation. Message also to the opposition leader who is leading Azimio One Kenya Alliance and the top echelon. They should listen to themselves, do the right thing, and make sure that during their service, as we were in active service, now we are giving back through service, out of active service. We are supposed to be retirement, do our own businesses, looking after our families. Now we are coming, they have made us to come to hear our views and speak and advise and compliment on matters, peace, security, and development. We don't like this. We don't like every time now chasing like to be like a watchdog or police. We want to see what was done when they were in power to those who are out of the government. Let them do the same to the government and to the president. Kenya is one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Daktari, if you had an audience with the head of state, or the two of them, what exactly would you rally them to do? Because the clarion call here is indeed there is a lot of challenges in the country, but the way that we sort them out will determine whether we have a prosperous nation or not.
Okay. If I got a chance to speak to His Excellency, the President, from where I sit, I would just repeat what the law says. The President is a symbol of unity. It is the first sign of peace. Even in our national anthem, every time the President is somewhere, there will be a national anthem. Peace is mentioned so many times in our national anthem. It is the President who can initiate this peace. And we must thank God that we have a president who can be this calm. Ordinarily, if this was in another place, in a different setup, people have different reasons of handling problems. They will just do things that are not within the measurable standards. So far, I have not seen our president speak in a very harsh tone that would provoke someone to doing something wrong. Because sometimes I see so many statements in the media, and I really feel bad. If I was the president, will I focus on looking for investors, or I have to focus on answering what the political class is saying? So if I was the president, I will just urge him to play his role as per the law and resolve this stalemate. This stalemate lies purely in the hands of the leader of opposition, and like my chair said, they must think, assuming they were in government and this happening to them, what would be their reaction? You know, you have to put yourself in the other shoe for you to feel what could be done. So, and I know the president is having a strategy. I would think so. I mean, I have faith that there's a plan. Even for Honorable Raila Odinga, I'm very sure that they have a strategy of how they are going to solve this. Because you asked a very good question. What is the end game? Shall we go this way for 5 years, every Monday to Thursday, up to 5 years? Definitely there will be a stop at some point. And this back stops with the president. He is the leader of this country. If something happens today and the country burns, history will record that this was the leader when this was happening, even if he was not directly involved. So he has the responsibility to ensure peace and democracy remains for the country.
All right, Reverend, in 1 minute, if you had an audience with the two leaders, what would you call upon them to do?
First, I would actually ask them to sit together, because they are the two who have the solution to our country. And if they would sit, not really to come and maybe greet one another as they are really looking at the greetings, but to look at the solution of our country, because what we need, we are actually looking on them. Actually, the buck stops at them, the two of them, because you know what they would agree would be very helpful, like we have seen in the past, where we have had even wars, not only demonstration. We've seen people fighting, we've seen people suffering, but now this is the demonstration. So why not come together? And these are people who have been, you know, together. At one time they were together. So, and as we have already, you know, or we already know, there are no permanent enemies in the politics, so they can still come together. And if they are not able to do it together, I would also urge them, you know, get somebody, an arbitrator who will come and help, so that we get a solution.
Thank you. Well said. Reverend Joyce Munyiri of the Glory Outreach Assembly Church, part of the clergy. We also had Dr. Nelson Sechere, who is the Executive Director and CEO of the Kenya Veterans for Peace. And we also had his chairman, Ambassador Bishop Robert Musili, who is the chairman of the Kenya Veterans for Peace, which is a military, former military officers who came together to start an organization. Not only did they have to secure our country through arms, now, since they are retired veterans, they are advocating for peace. Thank you indeed so much for joining us for that around 2 hours or so, where we were looking at building a cohesive nation despite the so many challenges that we have in the country, including the Azimio One Kenya Coalition maandamanos, demos if you like, entering the second leg. Well, I'll take a quick short break. I'll be back with a lunchtime news. Thank you indeed so much for joining us.